A New Hope, Nier Chapter 98. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of Azazyel's stories. I was having fun screwing with Salem, who had for whatever reason signed up for the Oracle app, and now we literally spied on her every damned movement, word, and action. As her high-tech scroll allowed Yorha to use its various functions to spy on her in ways that would even make TikTok jealous. Though she did get bullied a bit by the netizens at first before she managed to thicken her skin. I mean, seriously, what kind of person with thin skin would accept the totally randomly generated name of Mommy Salami as their online name? Oh, how she raged when people asked if she was some fat basement-dwelling neckbeard trying to catfish people. No, seriously, I think a couple of villages almost fell due to Salem taking her anger out on the humans living out on the frontier away from the super-walled megacities and the other larger walled towns. Jake, Project Artemis is ready for action. 2B told me, and I nodded as I accepted a data slate from her that ran off strictly Yorha systems. Any targets of interest? I asked and hesitated before nodding. 2B spoke softly as she pointed at a couple of skull icons on the map of the continent that Vale was on. Disregarding targets outside of Vale, which would be inefficient at striking it due to their actions being negligent for our own holdings, within this continent of Sanus, we have several bandit clans to the south that are marked precisely due to their scrolls having downloaded the Oracle program, which allows us to pinpoint exactly where they are. 2B explained, and I could see why she was hesitating. Do they have prisoners or non-combatants? I asked, and 2B shook her head. No, Jake, here on Remnant. People on the frontier never take prisoners due to the suffering they go through acting as a potent beacon to Grim for miles in any direction. 2B said dryly, and I handed the data slate back to her. Well, strike them all. It's not like with how Project Artemis being an energy weapon we need to worry about restocking tungsten rods for Project Orion. I said, consigning those bandits to death, with 2B nodding in understanding as she tapped her tablet. It's done, Jake. 2B announced not even a couple minutes later as she handed back over the data slate for me to go over the data, and I hummed as I read the details. Project Artemis was my first plan to deal with Salem in case of conflict by using several orbital laser systems that could bounce the lasers between arrays of mirrors and other systems. It had the ability to potentially wipe out Vale in not even a couple minutes, as the first thing I had Yorha do when they got the space stations up and running was make orbital weapons in case Cinder or Salem brought an army of Grim anywhere. That, and with the literal definition of aerial superiority, I was assured of my military might within this world, to say nothing of the economic and social power I had over the people of Remnant as I pulled the strings of the world behind the Yorha Corporation as some kind of eminence in the shadows. At the thought of being some kind of lord in the shadows, I shuddered, cringing at the thought, but I still continued to read the latest data as sensors mapped out the damage the skyscraper-thick pillars of lasers bore into the earth. The bandits all died literally instantly, being vaporized by the laser. Probably better than they deserve, all else told. I said before looking to 2B. And how are Project Icarus and Project Kronos going? I asked, frowning as I took in the details they had on the slate. 2B coughed as she smiled wryly. Jake, even with Yora's capabilities, creating a substance that can actually reach the sun's surface is currently beyond us, so Icarus is on standby, but as for Kronos, we have already completed that project. 2B said with some true distaste for the Kronos plan. Pity. It needs to be a combination of both. I muttered as I had the plan of just nuking Salem with laser batteries for a couple of days to tire her out hopefully, and then stick her form into a mechanized coffin that would tear apart her regenerating form, that would then be loaded onto a specialized rocket that would fly directly towards Remnant Star. Speaking of Salem. Have you been answering her messages, Jake? 2B asked me with a subtle smile, and my eyes twitched as I could see the humor in 2B's eyes. I raised a finger before I lowered it as I had nothing to say, and as I took out my own scroll and turned on its screen, prominently displayed were the words. 37 messages, 19 missed calls, and 7 voicemails in storage. All of whom belonged under the username of Mommy Salami. Damn, you 9S. I won't forgive you for this. I almost hysterically giggled as I read through the messages from Salem, and all of them were her treating me as a soundboard for her lonely life and just being smothering in her attempts at conversation, as every single message was literally a long-winded fucking letter of some kind. There was no, hey what you doing fam, or anything simple like that. No, it was long-winded whole letters you would write your lover when you get fucking sent off to your war and you have to try to convince said lover to send some kind of saucy image so you can survive in the barracks. The thirst was real in the widowed MILF, to put it in its most simple terms. Well, Jake, you should at least say hello, shouldn't you? Wouldn't want to leave your healer and mage that carries you through raids in online games hanging, would you? 2B continued to tease and my eye twitched as I knew damned well, she was getting help from the other androids to prod me like this as she was normally too taciturn and responsible to tease me like this. 2B, this hand is going to spank your ass, I said warningly as I lifted the hand and 2B just raised an eyebrow. Between my aura and the durability of my chassis, it's more likely you are going to hurt yourself, Jake. By the way, Professor Goodrich and Commander White request your presence at the Vice Mistress's office for an important meeting. 2B said seriously, making me raise an eyebrow before I shot a couple of short texts to Salem to tide her over and then handed the Yoarha data slate to 2B. Alright. You girls keep looking for the Branwen bandit clan. I want to find out if you or A2 can become a maiden. I finished standing up and adjusting my beacon tie as I left the empty lounge. I took over to deal with Yoarha matters. As I entered an elevator to get to the floor that Goodwich's office was on, I couldn't help but wonder what she and White wanted with me together, as it was a little odd how they didn't just call or directly message me.